Witch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and I am here to tell you, yes you, that you are beautiful. And today I just want to talk about what that means. What does it mean to be beautiful? The Tao, as in Taoism, T-A-O, teaches that the concept of beauty is grounded in a belief system that promotes judgment and duality. It says that under heaven, as in here on earth, we all can see beauty as beauty only because we also see ugliness. However, we all have our own unique judgments and perceptions, therefore beauty really is in the eye of the beholder. And since you probably behold yourself every single morning in the mirror, what you see there is not a fact, but actually a reflection of your own beliefs and judgments. You may look in the mirror and see nothing but wrinkles and scars, and someone else may see that exact same image and see a supermodel. And then going back to the Tao says that being and non-being produce each other. And that is why it is so dangerous for cosmetic companies and fashion companies to only hold up one body image or one narrow view of a perfect face and say this is what's beautiful. Because in saying that, they're also saying that everything that is not that is not beautiful. And so millions and millions of women run to the cosmetic counter and the hairdressers and the plastic surgeon's office and the gym in hopes of correcting what's wrong with them and looking more like the skinny, tall 18-year-olds with teeny tiny noses, large wide set eyes, and plump lips. Because that is the beauty standard that has been held up to us. That is what we have been told is beautiful, and most of us want to be beautiful. And what's interesting is, as a society, we just keep upping and upping and upping the stakes of what beauty actually is. So like if you go see a movie from the 80s, you'll notice that these gorgeous movie stars, they often have like yellow teeth, or what we would consider yellow teeth by today's standards, especially if they're in like their 30s or 40s. And we're very obsessed with big white piano movie star teeth now, and it's become like a status symbol. And if you know me personally or you watch my other channel, you might know that my teeth are actually like something that makes me feel bad and that I've had to like work on accepting until I can afford to fix what's wrong with them structurally. But cosmetically, they actually bother me too. But when I watch 80s movies, I feel much better about myself. Or you might see Marilyn Monroe back in the day, see images of her and think she might stand to lose a few pounds, when in fact she was the image of beauty back then. And then if you go way, way, way back, you will see these sex bombs like depicted in art as having small breasts, big thighs, lots of cellulite, and little tummies, and that was considered beautiful. So we've really just, and I say we, but the industry, the cosmetic industry, the fashion industry, the beauty industry has figured out how to make us feel bad about ourselves so that we will go buy their products, and they continue to up the stakes as we continue to figure things out and we continue to attain these things that they tell us we need to be beautiful. They're like, you may now have the skinny nose, but do you have the big piano teeth? I think not. And we have a payment plan for that. And I actually think that this has been changing a lot. This is the way it used to be, but I see movement and change, and I think that has a lot to do with consumer demands or just companies getting smarter. So we see cosmetic spokespeople, persons, women, like Queen Latifah, Ellen DeGeneres, Diane Keaton, and that is very healthy for women to see images that they can relate to that make them feel more beautiful. I know Dove has this Dove Beauty campaign where they are trying to show that everyday women are beautiful and women of all shapes and sizes and colors, and I think that's wonderful. Even the fashion industry, I noticed this started happening in the early 90s. Alec Weck was an amazing example of this, or is an amazing example of this, where they started using women of color more often and women with more eccentric, interesting features, although they definitely could use some more Asian women. I definitely feel for the Asian women out there because they don't have a lot of women to look up to in the beauty industry and to relate to, especially the young girls. And if they do, they're often Asian women that look more like white women, which is something that I know African Americans have had to deal with too, although I see that changing a little bit. And I can assure you, as a skinny white woman, I don't only get my inspiration from skinny white women. That can be just as oppressive and depressing, if not more so to me, because then I just notice like, oh yeah, well, for example, when I was younger and in high school, to me, like Michelle Pfeiffer and Paulina Poroskova were like the epitome of beautiful, and they had these teeny tiny little noses, and I used to fantasize about getting a nose job because yes, I was skinny, and yes, I had the blonde hair and the blue eyes and all of that, but I didn't have the skinny nose, and that made me feel ugly and bad about myself. And I'm so glad I didn't change that about myself, because now I just think it is quirky and interesting, and sometimes I even think it's beautiful. And the French have a word that I think everyone should adopt, or that we should get our own word. It's a word that means ugly pretty, kind of loosely, and it's about seeing the beauty and imperfections and how perfect isn't actually what's always the most appealing and attractive. You might have like the exact perfect definition of beauty, but it might not resonate with people on the same level as someone who has a really big nose or excessively full lips, or just something that's a little bit off. And the word for that is Jolie Laide. And I think it's really pretty, Jolielaide. And I think us Americans should come up with our own, or us English-speaking people. We should have a word for that. And I really, if you want to think about just celebrities, since those are people that we all have in common, you could think of someone like Charlotte Gainsbourg or Uma Thurman or Barbara Streisand. These are great beauties. These are women who have actually been held up in society as being great beauties, who are not technically perfect. Their nose is a little off, and I have a nose thing, so I totally relate to that. Their nose is a little too wide or a little too long or just a little too big to be considered perfect. But there's something beyond pretty. There's this Jolie Laide where you transcend pretty and you move into the beautiful. You become interesting to look at and attractive. And I think that that's a term that we can embrace to make ourselves feel beautiful and feel good. And beauty really does come from the inside out. It really doesn't matter how attractive you are if you're walking around with like your shoulders down, you're feeling like crap, and you're trying to hide your face, and you're shifting around because you're self-conscious about your body. I have seen plenty of plus-size women who just own it, and they're just like sex bombs walking down the street. I've always noticed that black women seem to have this going on more than white women, or at least that was my perception. And I think it might be because growing up they just felt excluded from the beauty standard, and it was their community that recognized them as being beautiful. I noticed this in Latinas as well. They'll just strut around and flaunt their curves and skin-tight, low-cut clothes, and you can just tell they're feeling themselves, and they dance with a sensuality that like some of us white girls haven't quite caught on to. And I think that's beautiful. So don't just rely on the beauty industry to define what is beautiful for you. Look in the mirror and see it for yourself. Look all around you in society and see it for yourself. And support the companies that are putting a face on beauty that you can relate to, or write them a letter and let them know, hey, I don't really like seeing the same beauty ideal over and over and over again. I thought it was really great when this XYZ company featured this Asian woman. That was very inspiring to me, and I would like to see more of that. So I think we definitely, as consumers, have the power there. And beyond just being consumers, I think that learning to love yourself is such an important thing in life. It's just so fundamental to being a happy person, and that can extend to loving the way that you look. So embrace whatever you have been blessed with, flaunt it, enjoy being on this planet and this beautiful life you've been given and this beautiful face. Much love. Peace.